Hey, regular class. We're going to do some solving quadratic equations by factoring. This is section 9.5 in your book. I want you to watch this video. I'll show you some examples and then do some on your own. That's your homework for this evening or for the weekend. So we're looking at section 9.5. The first kind of thing you're going to have to do is figure out how to solve something like this. We've already done stuff similar to this, so all we really have to do is make either of these parentheses equal 0, because if either of these parentheses equals 0, then the whole side is going to equal 0. So if we say x equals 3, then we're going to get 3 minus 3, 3 minus 8 equals 0. That's 0, negative 5. 0 times negative 5 equals 0, so that works. What if we have 8? What if we plug in 8? So I'll have 8 minus 3, and then 8 minus 8 equals 0. Let's see if that works. So 8 minus 3 is 5, 8 minus 8 is 0, 5 times 0 is 0, so that checks. So we have two answers for this one. It's 3 and 8. Basically, anytime we make a parentheses equal 0, that's going to be one of our solutions. Hold on, I'm not sure why this is getting bright. If they ask you to solve something like this, they call it the zero product property. Basically, means we have to make the product of these this side equals 0. It means you just have to make one of the parentheses equal 0. Let's do another slightly different example. What if we say x plus 4, 2x minus 9 equals 0? Let's zoom in a little bit. Looks like we're going to have negative 4, because negative 4 plus 4 is 0, so that's one of our solutions. And then what about this guy? Well, if we can't do it in our head, I'll do 2x minus 9 equals 0. Add 9, 2x equals 9, x equals 9 over 2. So that's our second solution. So whether we plug in either of these things, it's going to make that left side equal 0, which means it's one of our solutions. Let's take it to the next step and just do some light factoring. If we have m squared minus 5m minus 14 equals 0, we just have to get it to look like the ones we just did with the parentheses. The way we do that is by factoring. This has no coefficient here, so it's a CAT certified method. So we have m and m. What two numbers multiply to negative 14 and add to negative 5? Looks like negative 7 and positive 2. So I just plug in negative 7 here, and I plug in positive 2 here. That still equals 0. We did some of this last test, but we're just reviewing a little bit. So our answers are going to be 7 and negative 2. Let's take it one more step and do one like this. What if we had x squared plus 8x equals negative 15? Well, then we got to get the negative 15 onto the other side. Add 15, add 15. So we get x squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0. I'm going to factor this because I don't have a coefficient there. I can use CAT certified. Multiply to positive 15, add to positive 8. Looks like positive 5 and positive 3. Positive 5 goes here. Put an x there, and then positive 3 goes here, equals 0. So my answers are negative 5 and negative 3. What this means, guys, is if you graph this quadratic equation on a graph with an x and a y axis, it's going to cross the x-axis at negative 5 and negative 3. That's the meaning of a quadratic solution. It's a root, it's a 0, you can call it whatever you want, a real root. But it means it crosses the x-axis at these 2 points. Then we also know, just this is not part of this question, but we know that if x squared is positive, it's going to move up. It's going to have a minimum. So we know it's going to kind of look like that. We don't know exactly where the vertex is or anything like that, but this is kind of how this thing's going to look. Let's look at something like this. If we had n squared equals 6n, they asked us to solve that one. We can't divide by n on both sides, or we're going to screw ourselves up. What we have to do is set this equal to 0, just like we did before. Then I can factor out an n, just GCF, and I get n minus 6 equals 0. So what makes this part equal 0? It's going to be 0, right? Because 0, if n is 0, that would work. And then what makes this part equal 0? It's 6. So it's 0 and 6. So our solutions for this one are 0 and 6. And again, that means that if you graph this thing, it would cross through the x-axis at 0 and 6. We also know because a is positive that it's going to be going up. We don't know where the vertex is, but we have a rough idea of what the graph looks like. Last one, let's do 2q squared minus or plus 22q equals negative 60. For this one, it's the same deal. We got to get negative 60 onto this side, so we get 2q squared plus 22q plus 60 equals 0. You can try to factor it like that. Much easier than a GCF out of 2. So we get 2 times quantity of q squared plus 11q plus 30 equals 0. I can divide each side by 2, and that just goes away, because 0 divided by 2 is 0. So I get q squared plus 11q plus 30 equals 0. I'll just factor that using the CAT certified method. They have to multiply to positive 30 and add to positive 11. It looks like positive 6 and positive 5. So I get q plus 6, q plus 5 equals 0. So q equals negative 6 and negative 5. Good. Guys, and your homework for this weekend is page 454. Numbers 1, 9, 15, and 20. And if you want a bonus problem and you love math, do number 29. That'll be a good one. Answers are in the back. They're all odds except for number 20. We can go over that one in class. But get these done, guys. It'll give us a head start on next week. Have a great weekend.